All right, welcome everybody to another episode of Conversation with Coach Kevin. I am your host, Kevin Thornton, the life coach and author. And today I have a special guest who is doing amazing things on social media. You see him a lot on TikTok, and he has a show on YouTube called The Perris Jones Show. Without further ado, I want to introduce to you Mr. Perris Jones. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing all right, and Kevin, I appreciate you bringing me on, man. It means a lot for you to do this, and I hope that I say something today that can inspire somebody or just reach somebody who may need to hear the message that comes through me today.
Okay. Before we get into it, tell everybody who you are and what you do and
Yeah.
how you get to this point right now.
Um, so I'm originally from Jacksonville, Florida. Was born and raised there, and I went to Florida A&M for college, HBCU.
Mm-hmm.
And I was originally there to study broadcast journalism. So always wanted to be like a sports guy. I grew up watching a lot of sports, and so I wanted to be like on Sports Center and ESPN, and wanted to see like Stephen A. and people like that. I used to watch the debate shows all the time. And
Mm-hmm.
when I got to school and started doing it, I was like, I don't know if I want to do this. So I started to do like radio. I did college radio, like hip hop radio, sports radio, and I was doing like different things like that. When I graduated, I ended up getting a job as a news producer.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of the start of my journey. Started out in Louisiana, and that was the start of everything that came to be. I didn't really. It was kind of one of those situations I walked by faith and not by sight. I didn't really know where it was going to lead me to, but I had to do something. I had to get a job after school. It was about six
Right.
months before I got that job, and started there. And about 6 months after I started doing on-air stuff like reporting and anchoring. And then I moved to Oklahoma City after my few years in Louisiana. Was there 3 years doing the same thing. I was reporting, and then after that, I moved to Washington D.C. for a year to start reporting, and that was kind of the end of my journey for what I went to school for and joining in corporate America. And a lot of things led me to the point where I wanted to kind of start my own thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I guess we'll touch on it, but that's kind of like a brief introduction about me. And for the past 2 years, I've been trying to work on my own businesses and trying to just figure out who I am as a person. And I feel like that's what escaping the matrix, if you want to call it, or corporate America allowed me to do was to find who I am. Because I feel like the world tells us we have to do it this way, and
Mm-hmm.
we have to get a job, and we have to do how our parents did it. And there just came a point in time, man, where it just like something hit me, like something snapped. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. I got to find a different way. And that was kind of like the start of that journey. And ever since then, I've been trying to figure out who I am. And a lot of it has brought me back to the start of my life. And I remember when I was a kid, man, I used to write, I used to like draw like comic books and used to not, I used to write them out and I tried to draw. I always had a huge love for music. That would get me through a lot of the days. And
Mm-hmm.
so a lot of the things I'm doing now, I did as a kid. I would like play act all the time. So that stuff I'm doing now, it's like everything I did as a kid, I got back to it
Mm-hmm.
now, and now I'm at the point where I'm trying to um, just make it from that. And so that's the part of my journey I'm in now. You like in between. You're like you're not new at this, but you're still not there yet. So
Right.
I'm still trying to navigate through this ordeal, but it's helping me find out who I am.
I love it. And it's so much I could try to impact with all this, but for first, let's go to the once you get to the part where you felt like it's time to end your stint in corporate America. You know, what was that got to you that said, I'm done?
Um, I think I was feeling it years before,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it was a culmination of things. I think it was the timing. It was kind of like a if anybody's ever experienced it, I'm a spiritual person, but like it feels like you were literally, it's like God is like tugging you, like
Mm-hmm.
or it's like he's tapping on your shoulder, like, hey, um, it's time for you to get out of this. And that's the best way I can describe it. It's like literally he's tapping you on your shoulder, telling you it's time for something else.
Right.
And at first you're like, did I really hear that? Did I really, is this real? Why am I getting this feeling that I'm not supposed to be doing this anymore?
Right.
And over time, you have people who end up validating what you feel God told you. And so as that continued to happen over time, I started to realize like, okay, I kind of don't want to do this anymore. And I want to focus on music. That was what it started as. I want to
Mm-hmm.
focus on music because I had been doing that since it's 2024. I had been doing that over a decade
Mm-hmm.
prior to me leaving, but nobody really knew that because it was one of those things where I didn't want to be judged for it. Like, I'm already doing this. I'm already in one career path. Um, and then like, people look down on up and coming artists. So I'm
Right.
like, do I really want to experience that when I'm already in this pathway and I just hit the mark where I'm making a certain amount of money, where I'm actually making decent, not struggling paycheck to paycheck. So this is the first time I'm making real money
Right.
doing what I was doing. And it's like now God is telling me, you got to give all that up. And I'm like, what?
Mm-hmm.
Like I just got here. But at the same time, I was almost forced to a point where I had to leave. And so, experiencing like just racism in corporate America, that helped
Mm-hmm.
drive me out. Experiencing the call from God, I feel drove me out. And then it just, uh, I felt like I was being creatively staggered. I wasn't able to express myself the way I wanted to. I think
Mm-hmm.
all that kind of happened. And then also, I don't really tell people this, but it was also like I had a very close relationship with my grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
Growing up, she was the one who kind of inspired me to do news because I remember growing up, she used to be really, she watched the news every day. And I know that's something she really wanted me to do. And that was something I wanted to do at the time too. But I feel like towards the end of her life, before she passed, um,
Take your time. Take your time, brother. Do you hear me? Well, we think we lost him for a hot second. He'll probably chime back in. So we'll just keep on going until he climb back in. Um, One of the things that he was saying pretty much was saying how he uh got felt like he got tapped by God to tell him this is what he need to do. And as he there you go.
yeah, I don't know what went on.
So you were saying that you mentioned your grandmother.
Yes.
That's
So she was a big influence on me in what I was doing, as far as working in news. And I felt like toward the end of her life, that was when I actually got an inkling of leaving. And
Mm-hmm.
I think like towards the end, she found out, she saw a video I did um rapping, and I remember like it was yesterday. She said, so I saw your video of you rapping on Facebook. You're I guess you're a man of many talents, and she just started laughing. And it was actually that happened like maybe a month or two before she passed. But in a way, that kind of gave me like the confidence or the feeling like, okay, I can do this, because she acknowledged it, but she didn't like downplay it or try to say, what are you doing? And I
Right.
felt like I needed that in order to leave,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because of how much of an influence she had over me.
Mm-hmm.
And
She gave you the affirmation that you needed.
correct, yes. And it was crazy because she was like one of them old fashioned Southern grandmothers, um, tell you a scripture, but then cuss you out. She was
Right.
one of those. She was one of those, and so she didn't play around. And it's funny because she was never like a person who was big into hip hop or rap and stuff. So I never really told my family, not really.
Mm-hmm.
My mom and dad knew, but not many other people um, on that side. So that gave me the affirmation to do what I needed to do. So all these things happened to just kind of make me ultimately come up with the decision like, all right, I got to leave. And I had no clue where it was going to take me, but I knew I had to do something different.
Okay. One of the things I was saying while you was logging back in was a lot of times the God will, quietly tell us what we need to do, and a lot of times we are second guessing it because we're not quite sure if that's truly Him telling us to do this or what it is, and then we are moving slowly on making that transition. So then He has to do something to make it hard for us to say, okay, like the racism in corporate America, that probably got to a certain extent to where you had no choice but to say, I'm done. Because
Exactly.
and he put the pressure on you because you wasn't being obedient to the quiet words that he was saying to you earlier.
Yeah.
And so that's why I tell all the clients, when you hear it the first time, start acting on it at that time. Because
Yeah.
once you try to, you know, postpone it, it's gonna make it worse and worse and worse for you because now you're making it harder because now he gotta make it harder for you to listen to what he's trying to tell you.
Yeah.
And
And
so go ahead.
yeah. And I was going to say, like, it was one of those things where it was, okay, I think I started that job in August, and it wasn't until almost a year later when I left.
Mm-hmm.
But I felt like he was nudging on me, probably like late winter, early spring.
Mm-hmm.
It was then like when he was nudging on me, like, and but I didn't want the judgment. I didn't want the judgment of what people would say. The world's telling you to do this and all
Mm-hmm.
this stuff. And yeah, like you said, it got to a point where it was so bad. I'm like, yo, I got to get out. I got to get out of this. This is insanity. What they're trying to. It felt like I was being driven out to the point where I'd never wanted to do that again.
Right.
And to this day, it's 2 years later, I've never had an itch to go back.
Wow.
And even if looking back, it's like, man, these were probably some of the toughest years of my life since doing that. But I
Mm-hmm.
realized like it's all preparation and it's all necessary, because I'm looking back now, like 2 years ago, I would not have been ready. I didn't know I could do the things I was doing, because even you see the TikTok that came about through a place of that was another thing, another nudge,
Mm-hmm.
over time. And that was something I've been meant to start doing years ago. But it's one of those situations where you're waiting on people
Mm-hmm.
and they're not really as serious as you are. So I was going to do it with somebody else, and it never really materialized because they weren't really serious as I was. And so I kind of just forgot about it. And then eventually, like, I got that nudge for that too. And then one day it came to me like almost in a vision, like um, I just saw like my logo,
Mm-hmm.
and for some reason I knew like what I had to do. And so that
Right.
was when I came about with the YouTube page and TikTok and stuff. And through this whole process, even though this has been the toughest time of my life, just in many different ways, I've grown spiritually.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but like it seems like everything else is like dropping off. So
Mm-hmm.
all the material possessions you don't have anymore. Like the finances takes a hit, and it's like, well, this doesn't make any sense. But at the same time, it's like I'm adding like knowledge I did not have before that I feel like I need now, like business mindset or the things I'm doing with the show, talents I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know I had. I didn't know I had a talent for, speaking in that way, to do it on video, like how I'm doing now. But I was always a person to encourage or empower other people, but
Mm-hmm.
not to the point where I thought I could do it like how I am now. So it's like if I didn't go through that, I wouldn't have discovered all the other things I could do besides just music.
Let me say this to you. I'm putting on my life coach hat for you for a second. You, the struggle you're going through right now is what he needs you to struggle for. You're, and I, and it's the right time to talk about how, in one of the videos, is you said, "I'm not a rapper. I'm just a vessel."
Right.
Right. So when I saw that, it clicked to me that you're starting to understand that you are on a divine assignment.
Correct.
So in that divine assignment, he's waiting for you to be obedient and start putting everything in motion for the assignment that he has to do for you. And in that, he wants you to struggle a little bit because he wants you to be focused on the assignment. And then as you become more and more obedient to that, then the blessing is going to come to you. If
Yes.
you, I'm hoping you can receive that because I
Yes.
understand. Because I
Yes. And
understand.
yeah, because it's definitely moments where I've had like wavering in faith, and you can be upset because you're like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, I know I'm not like a bad person or anything, and it's like, why is this stuff kind of happening? But then at the same time, um, there's also this feeling that I'm going to need these experiences
Hmm.
to help other people,
Hmm.
and
And I
I
want you,
realize that.
I want you to understand too that this conversation that you and I are having today is not by coincidence. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
I don't believe in that. I believe that um, it helps both of us, but more so, he also uses me as a vessel as well too, and he using me as a vessel to affirm to you that you are on the right path, you're doing the right thing, because evidently you're doing something right that I saw you, and
Yeah.
I look forward to seeing your videos. I search out for your videos. You know what I'm saying? So then, therefore, that's something that you're doing right because you bringing positive influence that I like to look at. And so it's like for me, I wanted to reach out and I have that conversation with you, not knowing you are in the midst of your journey and your assignment. So now God's like, okay, I need you to affirm to him that he's doing the right thing, he's on the right path, and you just gotta stick with it because your time is coming, if that makes sense.
Yes, and I appreciate that definitely, because there are times that you still deal with the thought of like, maybe I am doing something wrong, because on paper, uh, it doesn't look like anything's working. Even though like a lot of people can't tell from my social media about
Mhm.
things that you go through. So when I tell people, and I don't tell a lot of people, but when I tell people some of the stuff that goes on, they can't believe it because they're like, well, it doesn't look like that from what you present. And I'm
Mhm.
like, man, that's really just God, you know,
Right.
that you don't really look like what you've been through. But trust me, I have moments where you're like, like what is going on, you know. But
Mhm.
hearing you say that really means a lot, to know that I'm right where I'm supposed to be, even though it doesn't feel like
It doesn't feel
does
like it's part of your testimony.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And so that definitely does is reassuring, you know, that
Mhm.
that you said that. So, and I don't believe in coincidences either. I believe that everything does happen for a reason, and everything does have a divine timing to it. Because even when I left what I was doing, that was divine timing. I feel,
Mhm.
because that was the only time that could have happened.
And, and, and
Uh,
it's, and it's funny you said that there's divine timing and everything happened for a reason because God knows you, and so
right,
God knows that you are a open, transparent person, right? And so then He knows me, and He knows that I'm going to be like the one that's going to step in and take this time as a opportunity to inspire you because
right,
you're inspiring the masses. I see how many people follow you on TikTok. But whether if you with the stuff that you say, some of the rap that you do that are inspirational to the people, right? But at the end of the day, you inspiring all these people, and God was like, right now, He needs somebody to say some words of encouragement to him at the same
right,
time and
exactly.
let them know that I see you, I see what you're doing. I want you to keep on doing what you're doing because you're a lot of times what we do, we don't get the validation that we need sometimes to know that we're doing the right thing and we're touching the right people. You know what I'm saying? So, and so that's when he used other people to touch you and say, I see you, I'm gonna keep on doing it. And I think this is part of the reason why we're here today. More so than everybody for you to be an inspiration as well, but for me to be inspirational to you as well.
And I want to touch on that too, because a lot of times he'll send strangers. Like I've never met you before. I don't know who you are, but it's like usually that affirmation comes from strangers or people
Mm-hmm.
who don't know you as much, because the people around you sometimes are so familiar with you. And you know,
Mm-hmm.
Jesus talked about that before in the Bible. And I think that was a story that really brought me. It made, to me, the Bible helps things make sense, because
Mm-hmm.
when he said that no prophet is without, um, you know, what is the scripture? No prophet was without something in his hometown. I'm like blank right now, but basically without honor in his hometown. So I'm thinking like there are sometimes like people in your household or people close to you are not going to see you for who God sees you as,
Mm-hmm.
and because of that, you can kind of forget who you are. And I
Mm-hmm.
feel like that was a thing too. He had to send certain people in my life at the right timing to tell me you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. They wouldn't say that directly, but that's what I would get from it. You're
Right.
supposed to be doing more than this, or you need to make a choice. Are you going to stay in this, or are you going to take this other pathway? And that they were talking about music, because I was, even this was back in 2021, early 2020, 2021. So this was a year and a half before I made my move. Somebody had told me, I played a song. They said, "Oh, it sounds like you have a choice to make." And I was like, "Huh?" I didn't get it at the time,
Mm-hmm.
but then later on, I discerned like, "Oh, that's what they were saying."
Mm-hmm.
And this was somebody who I perceived to be a woman of God. Um, but at the time, I wasn't spiritually discerned enough to know what she was talking about. You have to
Mm-hmm.
make a choice, huh? But she was right. I would later find out I did have to make a choice.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess from the world standards, that choice made no sense.
Right.
So that's how I was looking at it. I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. Why would I do that when, that's a difficult thing to pursue?
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't see like there were other things along the way that I needed to pick up on or to learn I could do or
Right.
figured out that I could do. And so yeah, it's like it's crazy how he will send certain people in to tell you in so many ways that you I have more for you.
Mm-hmm.
You're
Yeah.
thinking too small.
Yeah. He has a lot more for you. Um, the music and the way you use it. The fact that you using TikTok as a way to bring attention to your music is gonna
Yep.
be a big thing because see, you got the followers, you constantly growing it. So they gonna start going to your Spotify, your Apple Music, and you're gonna start getting the streams that kind of way for that.
Yeah.
But then too, then it's the other side of you. It's the spiritual side of you,
Right.
of the motivation and the inspiration of that part of you
Yeah.
that people needs to hear as well. And so, it's like, okay, you using both avenues to do his work.
Yes. And I feel
You-
like you can reach more people that way because
Yeah,
there's some people who want to hear the motivational side and then they'll go to the music side later. But there are other people who know me from music, and then go to the motivational thing. So it's like, and I feel like I try to, even with music, it's more so me and my journey or
hmm
just raw emotion that comes out.
hmm
So, and I feel like even with that, I had to change my messaging with music. Like,
hmm
yeah, you're gonna have your cool song, like vibe songs sometimes, but then I had to get to a place where I had a message with it too.
right.
So I wasn't always like that. So that goes back to the divine timing. I wasn't really like that until a few years ago. But
hmm
before that, I had it every now and then. But like now, it's like okay, I'm like intentionally thinking, what's the message behind the song?
hmm
How is this going to help people? Because I think back when I was growing up, the songs I love, besides like the songs that make you feel good, there are songs that um, I feel as though get you through the day.
hmm
And I just remember that like growing up in on the way to school or on the way home with my dad, and you would hear certain songs, and you could tell like it would help you get through the day. So
Right.
I those are like the ones that I had to go through this experience in order to make stuff like that.
And you just don't, you never know because like, um, I used to teach spin classes at the gym,
Hmm.
and so usually I play a lot of hip hop, the ratchet stuff, and all type of stuff like that. Yeah. One day he just hit me, and he told me for the whole 60 minutes, play nothing but gospel.
Uh-huh.
And I found every song that had a great beat, that could ride to it, that had a great message to it. Some you didn't know was gospel until, unless you paid attention to the words, because the
Yeah.
beat was so good. Some of them you did know. I was nervous at first because of the crowd of people that I usually have in my class,
Yeah.
and but when I walked in, my intent was these 60 minutes, I'm going to set the tone of how you guys gonna see your day.
Yeah.
It'll be positive. It's gonna be very positive. And when I tell you, sir, that I did the 60 minutes and nobody left. They enjoyed the whole class. And then I tend to like turn my back to get stuff ready. I actually had some more music playing. And I saw people still riding their bikes. I saw people starting to cry. Saw people just starting to shout and all type of
Wow.
stuff. And I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And they was like, this one guy, he's like 6'5", and he was like, thank you. He said, you just don't know how much I needed this today.
Yeah.
And he had tears coming down his eyes, that somebody else is up there crying. And I'm like, okay, I didn't understand what the assignment was at that moment, but I knew at that then, okay, the people who I had influence of needed to hear something positive today because, like you said, how people don't know what you go through. We don't know what everybody's going through.
Yeah.
And so they need to hear that sense of motivation. So I look at your stuff and I prepare for you. Your music is great. The words you say is motivational to me too. So somebody like me who love music, I can listen to you all the
Yeah.
time because you have great beats. Or even if you sing it off of like a Nicki Minaj type beat song,
Right.
your songs, you know, resonate with me. So it's something I could actually listen to on a regular basis. And so I was like, you on to something. But then what made you start doing your own like the Perris Jones show? What made you start doing that?
Um, I would say it goes back to, well, originally 2 years ago when I left corporate. Um, in addition to doing music full time, my plan was to have. I've been talking about forever to start my own like podcast type show or something.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't. I thought it was going to be about like I planned to do it with somebody else. It never really materialized because they weren't really serious. You know how that goes when people are playing around. And but we were going to do something like with talking about everything, sports, drama, stuff. Things that how people do.
Right.
And over time, like kind of realized I didn't want to really do that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so, but one day it was like it just like a dream or a vision, and I just saw like the logo you see up there with the PJ,
Mm-hmm.
and I just saw that, and I just knew like start a YouTube page, start a TikTok page with just that because I had a TikTok page with just music,
Mm-hmm.
and but it was all people I knew, so it wasn't really getting any interaction.
Right.
So I was like, you know what, I got to start a whole new thing with people I do not know, and that's and I just like started talking on camera, and I think my first episode was called "Don't Allow People to Talk You Out of Your Destiny,"
Mm-hmm.
because that was something that I experienced, and I'm sure a lot of other people do. But
Right.
even before that, I spent 2 years basically watching other people. I
Mm-hmm.
watched, so I was in a way the student first in that sense
Mm-hmm.
before I tried to become a teacher. Like, so I was watching other YouTubers, people who I resonated with,
Mm-hmm.
um, and and it's so funny because a lot of them do music as well, and so there were people like me, and so I was watching and observing, um, and then I just brought my own flavor to it. Like, okay,
Right.
my experiences. So that's kind of how that got started. It was just really God telling me like, this is what you're going to do,
Mm-hmm.
and I really didn't know like what direction I was going to go in. I just started talking, and that's how it kind of went about. Is just I used my own life experiences and tried to articulate it in a way I feel like would help other people understand their experiences. Because before I started watching these YouTubers, I didn't understand like why are these people moving this way? Why
Mm-hmm.
is this happening? Why is that happening? And also came with reading the Bible too. That helped you understand what was going on in life. So I think it was a combination of all those things. Like it was reading, watching other people do it, becoming a student. And so you feel like I would immerse myself reading, reading the Bible and watching these YouTube videos.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was like if I wasn't doing music, I was doing those things.
Okay.
And so yeah, I felt like you were in class every day and God is your teacher, and eventually I got to the point where like, all right, I'm done watching content. I need to make it.
Right. So my question to you, because I have a lot of men that I coach that's pretty much in your age range, and that feels like at times because they're at the age that they are, they're not what it's supposed to be, that they are a failure. Where in your situation, you was doing what you wanted to do at the time, and then you became obedient to what God's telling you to do. Is that it's more for you. and you stepped out on your faith and did it. What do you say to the people who feel like they're a failure because they're not where they're supposed to be at a certain age?
Um, that's a good question because I've definitely been there. Uh, I'm probably talking to myself in this answer because there are times where even I still feel this way because I'm feeling like, I want to be able to do this, I want to do that. But I would say like if you're feeling that way, there's a reason why it hasn't materialized yet. And it's mostly because you need to work on character development. And nobody wants to hear that, but it's the
Mm-hmm.
truth. I didn't want to hear that. If I told myself 2 years ago, dude, you're not ready,
Mm-hmm.
it would have made me mad. It would have made me upset, but it would have been the truth. You're
Mm-hmm.
not ready for what God has for you just yet.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like there may be some people who need to hear that. It could be a situation where you're not ready. God has to work on your character development. You don't have enough faith to survive where I'm taking you.
Right.
So you need to build up your faith, build up your character, so you have longevity too. Because I feel like social media makes us lose perspective sometimes
Mm-hmm.
about it's a lot of work to get to where some these places where some of these people and I'm guessing if they're with you and they have a life coach, they have big life goals
Right.
because people don't just get life coaches unless you have goals for doing something big in life. So
Absolutely.
I'm sure they have goals they want to accomplish, and sometimes that you just have to go through some things to get to where you want to go, and nobody wants to hear that. But that's the reality is that sometimes you're not ready. Sometimes you need that character development. You need to build up faith and hope um, in what you're doing. And sometimes, like I feel like you have to master it is what you're doing first too,
Mm-hmm.
because I thought I was ready 2 years ago in whatever I was doing, and I can tell you, no, I was not.
Mm-hmm.
Not to be at the point where I would have longevity.
Right.
We can't because we see stuff on social media and we want things right now, and it's like a microwave society, and it doesn't work that way. And I feel like with God, it's like a crock pot. It's
Mm-hmm.
going to be a slow cook, but it tastes better, and it tastes better than when you eat out the microwave. Yes, the microwave food gets done faster, but it's not going to taste as good as when you have something in a crock pot
Right.
that's stewing all day. So I compare it to that, and I feel like yes, that's something that we don't want to hear at the time, but it's very important to know that there's a reason why things haven't happened yet, and it's a slow burn. It takes time to get to where we need to be. Um, and I feel like what's helped me is to take things one day at a time
Mm-hmm.
because I'm a person, I'm always trying to be 2 steps ahead. I'm trying to think about the future. But when I get grounded and try to stay in the moment, all right, let's just take one day at a time. Let me figure out my schedule today and worry about tomorrow. So
Mm-hmm.
once I started taking things one day at a time, it became easier to kind of focus and and it made me not feel as lost or feel as though I'm not really doing anything because it's not really a race,
Mm-hmm.
and we have to escape the rat race anyway. We have to get out of that mindset because, like, what are we really chasing after anyway? Are you
Mm-hmm.
chasing after things that are going to help God's kingdom, or are you chasing after vanity, things
Mm-hmm.
that are not going to matter? So you have to
Right.
ask yourself that question too: What am I doing this for? If that's the case, then you shouldn't have a problem with things taking the right amount of time that it should. And there's a divine timing in everything. So
Mm-hmm.
you want to be in a place where um, you don't have to really worry that you're not ready and then you're exposed
Mm-hmm.
that you're not ready. I'd rather be in a place where I am more prepared for the assignment.
Mm-hmm.
And that comes with time and just working on yourself every day. Um, but I know that's tough to hear. That's probably not the answer that you want to
It's,
hear.
it's the answer that needed to be said.
Yeah.
It's such that need to be said. I say kudos to you because what you said is very on point. It's very on point. I'll use a different analogy. I will use it is that we all are diamonds in the rough.
Yes.
And to have the brightest, the clearest diamond takes time and pressure. And so the pressure that we go through, through the different things that he's going to send us through to prepare us for our greatness is the pressure that's going to help us become a better, clear diamond. But then also the time that we take in the process is the time we need to make us the best version of ourselves. And like you said, a lot of us have to do. If we also, a lot of us have to have experiences that we need to go through to prepare us to where he's going to take you next. And
Exactly.
so for me to tell to you, when you feel like your struggles and stuff like that, just know there's something greater on the other side. So the question is, why am I going through this? Is why I need to learn from this that is going to take me to the next level that where he had to go to me next, if that makes sense to you. Um,
Exactly.
my question for you, because I'm not, I have my hat on for you. What's the vision that you see for the Perris Jones show and Perris Jones period?
Um, that's a good question. I feel like there are a lot of things I want to do. There are a lot of things, and I don't want to be put in a box.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like um, what's the best way I can describe it as? I definitely want to continue being a vessel to help
Mm-hmm.
people, but I want to do it in a way that is against the grain of what society says.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I want to encourage people to be themselves and be
Mm-hmm.
authentic and not just do stuff because that's how you were taught. Because if that's the case, I wouldn't be here.
Right.
And yeah, I feel like people, especially when you have big goals, like they try to fit you into this box.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, I see myself as, um, ironically, a corporation, a
Mm-hmm.
business. That's how I try to carry myself. And but I want it to be something that has God's hands in it,
Mm-hmm.
and I want it to be a situation where it empowers people. I want to empower people to be themselves
Mm-hmm.
and just make the world a better place. I remember back in 2020, I was going through a lot, and this was around the time of George Floyd and stuff was going on, pandemic, and I had stuff going on personally. And I just remember asking God, man, um, make me something new, make me something new. And it's funny because I saw, I don't know if you know the show Greenleaf.
Mm-hmm.
I was watching that show, and I remember it was like one of the last episodes, and she was the one of the people in the show was giving a sermon, and she was like, "Make me something new," and that just like I started crying because that's
Mm-hmm.
exactly how I was feeling at the time. And it was funny how God was. I felt like He was speaking to me through that show,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like, "Make me something new," and I just felt that in my spirit, like just I remember like yelling it out, crying, "Make me something new," and that was in 2020, and I feel like that was kind of like the start of okay, I want to do music. I want to do acting and have my own studios, and I want to do motivational speaking still.
Mm-hmm.
And um, I just want to make the world a better place in the way I can.
Mm-hmm.
And I think whatever outlet that is fine with me. And I want to be, at the end of the day, a representative of what I feel like the earth should be like. And I feel like one of the things that God teaches is to love yourself, love your neighbor, and I feel like that's one of the things I want to help get across to people here, because I feel like if we get that one down, if we get that commandment down, a lot of the nonsense that goes on
Mhm.
will go away. And so I know, like, it seems far fetched, but I want to do what I can in the outlets I have to do that. You know, and I know I'm not like perfect, but I'm trying to be the best that I can be. You know,
Okay.
so
Well, let's stop right there. First, don't say try. You are.
yeah,
That's first of all. Second of all, um, we neither one of us have to be perfect to be the vessel that he's using to be the influence that he needs to help other people. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So, what I would say to you, especially with you doing music, you doing acting, all type of stuff, ask your followers, have your followers go on the journey with you. Ask them to be on the journey with you as you become a greater person and as you start to do different videos saying what you have learned that has affected you to make you a better person. In turn, you are being the vessel of light to help them at the same time. As you go into a studio to prepare, one of your songs, have them come into the take that. Say, hey, this is what I'm doing right now. Prepared. No, I'm gonna give you a sneak peek of what I'm about to do next.
yeah,
Get them excited. Get them want to know, see what's next for you because
yeah.
you have the talent, you have everything that needs to be done. Um, but the one thing you said that's very true to me is the love of self. And that's one of the things that I focus a lot on. Um, you know, I have a t-shirt, a hoodie that I have that says I am love and with a heart inside the O, which is what I feel all people should embrace. All people should use that as part of their affirmation because as you said, if we're walking in as vessels of light of God, God is love. And so each and every one of us are created in his image of likeness. So then therefore we should walk, act, and talk in love at all times. And so, you know, with he's using you as that light, as that vessel. And I just want to say keep up doing the great work that you're doing. However, I could be an assistant to you. I'm there for you, sir. Uh I feel that um because how you speak, you could tell that you have a lot of love to give
Yeah.
because love comes out of you as you speak. And so then therefore that's how you are attracting the people that you're attracting that's following you on your shows, watching you on your TikTok because of the love that you exude in your energy. And
I
I
didn't.
love
I guess I didn't think about it that way.
yeah, I could receive it. So then therefore I know they can receive it. And and we are in this place space in the place that people are searching for love. They need that. They want that. And so to have somebody like you who has natural charisma and energy and knowing that you are on assignment to be a vessel of light, they they're going to want to gravitate to you. So, don't diminish what you're doing because you're doing a lot. You just don't understand how much you're doing for the people because it's just you doing it.
Right. Yeah, I don't understand. I don't. I guess it just feels like normal. Like it just. I'm
It's
just
good.
being me. I'm just
It's
you
been
know.
there. You go. You being who you are as being so what you're doing is very authentic.
Yeah.
So then, therefore, that's why people are able to resonate with you.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So it's not like you putting on anything. You just being Paris. And that version of Perris is a loving guy who believes in a higher power, who wants to be a vessel of light, who wants to be an inspiration to people, right? And so, and therefore, all that comes through you very authentically, and so it makes people want to see you and watch you more and more and more.
And I guess, and I'll probably tell you some stuff off when we get off of recording.
Okay.
But I guess it's weird because I feel like when I started being more myself, the more people who knew me were repelled by me, and it was so hard for me to understand why that was happening, and it
Mm-hmm.
did hurt. And then they try to flip it on you, like you're the one that's doing something wrong, like,
Mm-hmm.
but this is who I am.
Because you are now naturally being your true authentic self. So then the people from before, they fell in love with the other version of you,
Yeah,
and the other version of you is not in alignment with who you are right now. So it's not anything that you have done. It's just the fact that now you have outgrown those people because now you're being your truest self, and now you at the point now. I only want people around me who's gonna like me for who I am.
yes, yes,
And
exactly.
so it's going to hurt, because those were your friends. But that was just the season of that friendship because you're no longer that person. So it's going to get to a point where, you might have felt a little bit lonely because now you don't have these friends no more that, we don't resonate. So now you're in a spot where it's like, I'm doing a lot of things by myself, and because that's what he wants you to be by yourself as to a certain extent. So you can really focus on realizing who Paris is and what the assignment is for Paris to do, and then go about doing that. And then by that point, now you're going to be able to find your tribe of people who's going to help you get to where you want to go.
Yep, exactly.
That's the thing that all my guys, they all have the same problem. You know, as they mature, as they elevate, the friends fall off and they feel some kind of way because they've been friends forever or whatever situation may be, and now they're not in the same space. And it's nothing that y'all have done. Y'all just outgrown them.
Yeah, yeah. And then try to. I think it hurts because when you realize that you kind of start slowly backing away, they kind of paint you as the bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also at the same time, I feel like it's another situation where God will kind of force you out of that because they'll start doing things that you see that they may not think that you pick up on, or say
Mm-hmm.
things to discourage you, to try to make it seem like you're not really anything or you're not doing anything. They'll try to throw things in your face, bring up your past a lot. And it's like
Mm-hmm.
at some point you like, man, I don't want to be here anymore because you keep doing this.
Because they, they're trying to downplay who you are becoming because they wish they could do the things that you're doing to become who you are becoming. They can't do it. They don't have the energy to do it. And so, so it's easier to try to pull you down than for them to elevate to where you're going,
Correct. Yeah.
you know. And so, the book that I tell all my clients to read is Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. Same
Yeah.
guy who
Good job.
wrote um, Think and Grow Rich, and
Oh,
it's pretty much he's saying that the devil is not the man with the red tights and the pitchfork. The devil is fear and negativity, and
yes.
he uses everybody as uh, his vessel to do his work.
Exactly.
So in your case, you're elevating who you are, and you elevate to do your assignment that God has placed on you. and he's feeling like he's losing any kind of handle he may have had on you. So now he's going to take uh, people who that's close to you to try to attack you with the negativity. That hopefully you'll just change your mind and go back to being the old version of yourself and let that go.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
and you just gotta be okay with that and know that he's going to surround you with other people that's more like-minded as yourself, and that's going to be able to be a vessel to help you in the next part of your journey.
Right.
So before I let you go, before I click off, can you give my listeners any inspirational words, and then also tell them where they can find you on social media?
Well, I'll do the social media first. You can find me at the Paris Jones Show. Like it's how it's spelled on the screen. On Instagram and TikTok and YouTube. Um, that's the best way I guess you can find me. And then as far as any advice or anything, I would just say pick up your cross and follow Christ. And if that's something that you believe in, I believe that when you do that, you're going to leave the things in this world behind. But at the same time, you'll have this sense of it's giving me this sense of peace amidst the storm. When you read uh, his teachings, you begin to feel at peace because you start to understand the world and why things are the way they are. And so I feel like that being your authentic self, and it can be hard to do that. It can be hard to try to transition from somebody who pleases, who kind of takes away from themselves to please other people. But
Mhm.
once you get out of the mode of that, you begin to become more at peace. And I feel like when I started doing that, you feel less anxiety and less depression when you can just be who you are and meant to be. And but I feel like that came from following Christ. And when people hear that, it kind of spooks them away because of what they've been taught about religion and God and stuff. And I feel like once you actually read it for yourself, you realize it's not really like that.
Right.
I feel like God is love and He's very accepting. And what happens is those things that you've been doing that you feel like God would not like, He's very patient with you. And over time, you stop doing those, you stop doing certain things. You
Mm-hmm.
start doing certain things that makes your life more positive.
Mm-hmm.
It's very patient. It's not like cold turkey because a lot of times that doesn't work. It's like you have to really just let God work on you. You know, it's a thing here, a thing there, and over time you really get to see like, oh, I'm a new person.
Right.
So I think that would be my biggest advice is like just follow him and follow his teachings, and that's what I usually say is do that. Put God first, man. Put him
Okay.
first in what you're doing.
I want to thank you, sir, for being an amazing guest of my show today. Uh, the conversations flow easily.
Yep.
I hope I hope everybody gained a lot of wisdom from our conversation. I hope everybody take what we said and use it to help them become their best version of themselves. Um, what I ask people to do is please go and follow this guy. He has great content. He's a very inspirational, whether it's via his words that he speak or the music that he's creating. We need to support our black men who's doing great things so they can continue doing greater things. The more blessings you give this man, the more he could be a blessing to us. And so that's how I see it. So with that being said, this is Kevin. We out. I'll talk to you next week. Peace. Hold on one second. Good job.